Hi friends, welcome to SNCA Study Club, a platform for CA final students. So friends, here we are moving towards question number 11, which is stated that write a short note on maintenance of branch office by the chartered accountants in practice. We have to indicate what? Section 27. As per section 27, first of all, you should indicate what? Section 27. Then, first, meaning of office. What is mean by the office? Office means a place of business, or office means any office or any place where the name board is affixed or which has been mentioned as the place of business in the professional document. Then you have to state chartered accountant who is practicing chartered accountant or firm of chartered accountant having more than one office in India. This is known as what? Branch. Each branch office should be under the control or supervision of a separate charge of member of institute. That is separate charge of member of institute. It has to be under the supervision of separate charge of member of institute, but this separate charge of member of institute is not required in some cases where the first office and second office is situated in the same city or which is located in the same premises, or second office is located within 50 km distance from the first office, that is from municipal area of first office. Then last one is the hilly area exemption, that is temporary office may be opened by the chartered accountant who is practicing in hilly areas during that winter season, which may be for a period of less than 3 months or equal to 3 months. Intimation has to be sent to the council. Temporary office is not required to be mentioned in the professional document. Name board shall be affixed only during that temporary period. So we know what is mean by this. So this is what a short note with respect to section 27, that is the branches. Now we are moving towards the next question. So here we are moving towards the 12th question. 12th A. Mr. X, a chartered accountant, accepted his appointment as a tax auditor of a firm under section 44 AB of the Income Tax Act and commenced the tax audit within 2 days of his appointment, since the client was in a hurry to file return of income before the due date. After commencing the audit, Mr. X realized his mistake of accepting the tax audit without sending any communication to the previous tax auditor. In order to rectify his mistake, before signing the tax audit report, he sent the registered post to the previous auditor and obtained the postal acknowledgement. Will Mr. X will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct? This is the question. So here what is stating? X, who was appointed as a tax auditor of a company, he accepted the tax audit without communicating to the predecessor auditor. That is, in this case he has not communicated with the predecessor auditor because of client was in a very hurry to file the income tax return. So he accepted the tax audit and he started to work upon that tax audit, and thereafter he remembered what? Clause 8 of what? Which is the clause? Clause 8 part 1 first schedule, right? So then he remembered these clauses. So he realized that he has commenced what? A professional misconduct. That is, he accepted the audit engagement without communicating the predecessor auditor. So what he has done after commencing the work, but before signing the audit report or before issue of the audit report, he sent communication to the predecessor auditor. So can we treat Mr. X as guilty of professional misconduct? This is the question here. So first of all, we have to indicate the relevant clause, that is clause 8 part 1 first schedule, which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accept the position of an auditor which was previously held by other chartered accountant without communicating him first, that is without first communicating him in writing. That is, he have to communicate. First he have to communicate, plus the communication has to be in writing. So normally always communicate through RAPD, that is registered post acknowledgement due. So which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accept what? The position of auditor or office of auditor which was previously held by other chartered accountant without first communicating him in writing. So he had to communicate before accepting the audit assignment, and what such a communication has to be in writing. So why this communication has to be done? So first indicate the relevant clause, and then you have to indicate or determine what are the main objective for that communication. So such a communication is mainly for the purpose of determining whether there exist any circumstances that warrant not to accept that audit engagement. Did you get that? That is, auditor have to determine whether there exists any circumstances which is not acceptable or which is against the preconditions of audit. So this is mainly for such a communication is mainly for the purpose of determining whether there exist any circumstances that warrant not to accept the audit engagement. That is, determine whether such a change of auditor has been made on account of qualification to the audit report. That is, the previous auditor has issued an audit report, qualified audit report. Whether the predecessor auditor has been removed by the company or removed by the client or changed by the client because of such a qualification to the audit report, or whether the predecessor auditor expressed his unwillingness to continue with the client because of any unfavorable or inherent limitations in the office administration. Okay, this is the next part. So communication is necessary. Why communication? Communication is mainly for the purpose of determining whether there exist any circumstances that warrant not to accept the audit engagement, or whether such auditor has been expressed his unwillingness to continue the audit engagement with the client because of non-payment of undisputed audit fee. So such a communication is required as a part of professional courtesy, and at the same time it has to be done as because it is also treated as what? A professional obligation. So what is happening here? Here X, who was appointed as a tax auditor of the client, is not accepted the audit engagement without communicating to the predecessor auditor, and such communication has been done after what? After commencing the audit but before issuance of the audit report. So here, as per our council guidelines, a healthy practice, that is it can be a tax auditor who has been appointed to conduct the special audit as per the Income Tax Act 1961, and they may also require to communicate with the statutory auditor of the company. So here what is happening? The tax auditor is not making such a communication, but he is trying to rectify his error or his error by communicating with the predecessor auditor before issuing the audit report. Even irrespective of whether the communication has been done after accepting the audit engagement, here X is guilty of professional misconduct as per clause 8 part 1 first schedule, which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accept the position of an auditor which was previously held by other chartered accountant without first communicating him in writing. So here Mr. X fails to do so, and he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer. Okay. So here we are moving towards what? 12th B question. Mr. J started his practice as chartered accountant in 2015. During 2016, he got an offer for the post of chief accountant of a software development company as a full-time employee for a salary of 60,000 per month. Oh my God! On accepting this offer, Mr. J converted his practice into a partnership firm by taking into a fresh chartered accountant as his partner. Mr. J neither intimated the institute nor obtained permission from the institute about the employment. Will Mr. J guilty of professional misconduct as per the CA Act 1949? This is the question. Okay. So here what is happening? J, he was a practicing chartered accountant. Then he got what? An employment opportunity, 60,000 salary per month. He accepted the same and continued the practice by appointing what? Another chartered accountant. So he started a partnership for practicing as a CA. So my question is whether he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. So first of all, we have to explain the relevant clause. We know that the clause what? 11 part 1 first schedule. This is the clause which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he engages in any business or occupation other than the profession of chartered accountants, unless or without obtaining the prior approval of the council. This is what clause states. So first of all we have to indicate the clause, then we have to explain what the relevant situations, which is stating that if a chartered accountant in practice is engaging any other business or occupation, they have to obtain specific and prior approval of council, but they have provided general permission for some occupations or for some business, right? So any other activity or any other business or occupation or employment that is not covered under section 190A, regulation 190A, for that it is required to obtain what specific and prior approval of the council. So here what is happening, practicing chartered accountant J undertaken employment at a salary of 60,000 per month, and they continued the practice as a chartered accountant by appointing a partner. Here J has entered into that employment without obtaining the specific and prior approval of the council. Hence, he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer. So first what clause have to explain, then what is happening here. Then as per clause they have to obtain what specific and prior approval of the council. Here the same is not obtained by J. Hence, he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. We are moving towards 12C. So 12th C question. A chartered accountant in practice had confirmed the application made by his article clerk to the council for permission to study that the normal working hours of his office were 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the hours during which the article clerk was required to attend the college classes were 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. On inquiry from principal of college, it was ascertained that the article clerk used to attend the classes from 10 a.m. to 1:55 p.m. Oh my god. The chartered accountant pleaded ignorance about the article clerk attending the college classes during the office hours. Will the CA guilty of professional misconduct or not? Here, this is the question which is stating that suppose he is the practicing chartered accountant, article clerk appointed by or under that chartered accountant filed an application with the council for attending classes 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and they told that the normal working hours of the office is 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So he have to attend the class from 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. So it will not affect what the working in the office. But at the same time, after making an inquiry with the principal officer, it has been identified that article clerk is attending the classes from 10 a.m. to 1:55 p.m. So it means that he is not regular in what office. So the question whether this concerned CA is guilty of professional misconduct or not. First, what you have to do, indicate the clause. That is A, indicate the clause. Which is the clause? That is here what is happening. A chartered accountant is responsible to impart proper practical training as per the regulations of the council. So which is the clause that is explaining with respect of the regulation, that is CA have member of institute is required to comply with the regulation. So it means that he is contravening the regulation. That is clause 1 part 2 second schedule, right? Sorry friends, 1 minute. Clause 1 part 2 second schedule. Then which is stating that CA, that is a member of institute, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if they contravenes any provisions of the act, regulation made thereunder, or what any guidelines issued by the council. So here what is happening, the chartered accountant was supposed chartered accountant is responsible to impart practical training to the chartered accountant as per regulations of the council, but he is doing what, contravention to the relevant regulation, to the relevant regulation or the council guidelines. Then duty of CA, we have already explained that what is impart practical training to the article, right? Impart practical training to the article. Then C, what is happening in the question? Article is not attending the office, right? he is not attending the office, and chartered accountant is stating that he is ignorant about that condition. So whether it is true or not, use common sense. He is what? He is providing support to the article. That is, he in the given case, chartered accountant having the knowledge, that is, even having the knowledge, he is not attending the office properly. So the conclusion, what is the conclusion? CA will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct as per what? Clause 1 part 2 second schedule. This is the answer, or this is the format in which you have to answer. Okay, so we are moving towards the next question. Here we are moving towards the 13th question. 13th A. Z, a chartered accountant, wrote several letters to government department pointing out the seniority of his firm, sending his life sketch and stating that he had a glorious record of service to the country as well as to the organization of accountancy profession with a view to get the audit work. So what is here he is doing? That is that he is a practicing chartered accountant. He had sent several letters to the government. In that he has provided information about the seniority of firm, and also provide that he has glorious record and he is providing several services to the country, etc., etc. That is, he is advertising himself. Okay, so what is the relevant clause here? He is not advertising through what? Circular, signboard, letterhead and visiting card, etc. Then communication to the government is also not included in clause 7. So what is he is doing? He is soliciting his soliciting client or professional work. So which is the relevant clause? Clauses, that is A clause, B question have to state, C conclusion. So A clause 6 part 1 first schedule. B, what is stating in clause 6 part 1 first schedule? CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he solicit client or professional work either directly or indirectly through circular, advertisement, personal communication, interview or any other means which is not open to a chartered accountant. So he is what is doing? He is opening a door which is not open to a CA. So he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Here what is happening? Chartered accountant is sending letter to the government by providing the details with respect of his seniority of firm or glorious record, etc., which is mainly for the purpose of getting professional work. Hence he is guilty of professional misconduct. Last one is the guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer of what? 13th A. Okay, we are moving towards the next question. So 13th B question, a chartered accountant has sent letter under certificate of posting to the previous auditor informing him his appointment as an auditor before the commencement of audit by him. So here what is happening? Chartered accountant, he is sending letter by certificate of posting to the predecessor auditor before accepting the audit engagement. So we have to determine whether the chartered accountant is guilty of professional misconduct or not. So first we have to state relevant clause A, which is the clause we know that we have already discussed, clause 8 part 1 first schedule, right? Then why such a communication is required? Plus counsel opinion. Such a communication, that is, we have to again express what clause 8, CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accept the position of an auditor which is held by other chartered accountant without first communicating him in writing. So here such a communication is necessary for the purpose of determining whether there exists any circumstance that warrant not to accept the audit engagement or and determine whether such a change of auditor is mainly because of any qualification to the audit report which has been issued by the predecessor auditor, or the previous auditor or predecessor auditor is expressed his unwillingness to continue as an auditor of the client because of any inherent limitations in the administration, etc. Then as per the council guidelines, such a communication have to be always through registered post acknowledgement due, because it has been already stated that communication have to be in writing. It has to be in writing. So mere writing is also not sufficient. That is, there should be some evidence to prove that the new auditor, that the incoming auditor has communicated to the predecessor auditor. So it has to be always preferable to make such a communication through the registered post acknowledgement due, otherwise it is in the risk of the incoming auditor to make such a communication. So here what is happening, the incoming auditor, who is a chartered accountant, is making such communication through certificate of posting and not through registered post acknowledgement due. The last, what is the current status? He is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, this is the answer. So here we are moving towards 13C. The cashier of a company committed a fraud and absconded with the proceeds thereof. This happens during the course of the accounting year. The chief accountant of the company also did not know the fraud. In the course of audit, the end of the year, the auditor failed to discover the fraud. After the audit was completed, however, the fraud was discovered by the chief accountant. Investigation made at that time indicates that the auditor did not exercise his proper skill and care and performed his work in a desultory and haphazard manner. With this background, the directors of the company intend to file disciplinary proceeding against the auditor. This is the question. So what is happening here? He is the cashier of the company. He has committed a fraud, plus he absconded with the proceeds of that fraud. So he has got absconded from the company, and he has not given any prior notice about his leaving. Okay, right, that is he has been absconded. Then chief accountant of the company doesn't identified about that fraud which has been done by the cashier, plus auditor also failed to discover the fraud which has been committed by the cashier. So after that audit engagement, or after the audit report issued, later it has been discovered by whom? Chief accountant. That is chief accountant identified that fraud. So whether the auditor as per this is guilty of professional misconduct or not, this is the question. We also know that auditors only have to express an opinion, but at the same time auditor is required to follow what? The council guidelines, technical standards and professional standards, etc. So here you have to indicate the relevant clause and what? Essay. So clause, which is the clause? Here auditor is not exercising his duty in a proper manner. It is stating that he is grossly negligent. That is, he is not exercising due diligence, right? So which is the clause? Which is the clause? Clause 7, part 1, second schedule, right? Which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to exercise due diligence or grossly negligent while exercising his professional duty. Here auditor is what? Grossly negligent, plus he had not planned audit as per SA 240, that is auditor's responsibility with respect of fraud in a financial statement, right? So auditor has not planned audit with reference or as per SA 240 by with an attitude of professional skepticism. We know that auditor is required to exercise what? Professional skepticism. That is, it means a questioning mind. In this case, auditor have to arise that questioning mind because the cashier has left the company without a prior notice. So we know that then question. Explain the question. Cashier, that is auditor, have to exercise more professional skepticism because the cashier of the company has left the company without prior notice. So auditor have to give what? More attention to the ledger, that is cash account or ledgers related to cash, etc. Plus determine whether the cash is a material item or not a material item. Here cash, it can be small company, large company, irrespective of the size, cash is treated as what? Material item. So here auditor also fails to what? Provide attention towards that material item. Auditor has not exercised professional skepticism. So last one, it is the conclusion, and the same has been identified by the chief accountant. So it is clearly proving that what? Auditor is grossly negligent about his duty. So at last he is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This is the conclusion. A clause and essay have to be indicated. Then what is happening in the question? The last one is the conclusion. This is the answer. Okay.